Hey guys, it's certainly been a minute since we've done one of these, but I'm Harrison. That's Josh. This is the Awkward Sports Podcast. And well, fantasy football's and that time of year. So we're going to do a mock draft. I'm sure we're going to do so well. You're going to love our picks. Not really. I'm sure you're going to think we're quite the stupid people. You ready, Josh?
Oh, Harrison, we're always ready. And I mean, we just have to acknowledge it's been so long. We are both doing it from different locations than the last one, which I think is pretty spectacular. You
That's a good
got that
point.
there.
Because I'm in entirely different states. I mean, you're in the same state, but a different part of the state.
Yeah. Oh man, how time goes. 12-team draft, snake draft, right, Harrison? So
That's correct. And if you've noticed, we've each claimed spots. Josh has three, I have seven. And that's because in our own respective drafts, that's the positions that we have. So we're just kind of going based off all of that and see where things go.
I mean, hey, this is definitely going to be good because I've been looking at boards, Harrison. I'm just like, I do not really know what direction I want to take my team in. I mean, last year I had a general idea, but this year not so much. At least, especially for the early rounds. So we'll see how this goes.
All I know is going pass heavy has really done me well. So I'm going to keep going with the same strategy because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, let's get started. Yes, I'm sure I want to start this draft. I know it cannot be undone. Drafting will commence immediately for everyone in your league.
The anticipation.
Jamar Chase, McCaffrey, Josh, you're on the clock.
Here we go. Look at that. So they go.
See, I thought McCaffrey would go number one. I mean, I like the choice of Jamar Chase at number one.
I love it, but just because it's a little bit different. I'm going to
Sure.
say, looking at this board, I think kind of the play here, Harrison, is something along like just I feel like I know the game has changed in terms of trends, right? They talk about taking more receivers in the first round. I feel like I'm still a running back guy early because there's not that many. And if you look at this wide receiver class, Harrison, there's so many rookies that entered the league. I feel like there's so much more value. So with that being said, I'm going to put my chips on Bijan Robinson with the third pick. So I think the Falcons are going to utilize him in a big way.
Yeah, from the way it looks, I mean, I'm always going pretty wide receiver heavy pretty on, even though I spoke of my surprise on certain running back picks already. Uh, all right, well, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, a lot of good picks already have been taken the first, but you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown at seven. I'm sticking to my guns and going with the best wide receiver available at number seven.
I love that pick. I mean, Ben Johnson's offense in Detroit, everybody kind of eats. So it's just one of those things where it's like you can't go wrong with a player like Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And here I am again. Let's see. Well, a lot of the top running backs actually went during the snake round. So, you know what? Do I want ETN? You know what? I'm gonna go, hmm. I'm gonna go running back now in the second round because it seems like a lot of the top ones are starting to go. But I'm gonna be gutsy here. I'm gonna still take Derrick Henry, I believe.
Derrick Henry, a fantasy football staple. I respect it a lot. Obviously, him being with Baltimore now, not Tennessee. Obviously, you could expect to see him get a larger increase in a role just because Dobbins is no longer part of that team. I believe they moved off of him. I think he's a Charger now. But let's see. I went running back in the first round. I have an opportunity here to do that again. Again, not too many running backs that are top heavy. A lot of receivers have gone, and I think I'm going to play to that because a lot of receivers have been drafted, and I don't see the value here in some of the receivers. So I'm kind of between Devon Achan and Isaiah Pacheco. I have a soft spot for Pacheco. I've had him in fantasy
Check
the
is a good
last
one.
two. I've had him in fantasy the last two seasons. But Devon Achan was absolutely spectacular. I know there's a committee there as well, but I think I'm going to go with Achan this year because I have something in store later and hopefully it
Interesting.
works out. All right, so man, Props to that guy ahead of me taking Laporta right before my pick. I think tight ends are very crucial. I thought Laporta would fall to me there. Clearly was not the case.
See, I'm
Let's
just gonna say it now. In my league where we do keepers, I have Hawkinson. So for me, in this preparation, I'm not going to be going tight end early because I know that position's good to go.
That's a good one too. And I actually have a fallback plan at tight end as well. We'll see how that goes given on how these teams draft. We see two tight ends already off the board. I, for one, am shocked that Kelsey was the first tight end off the board this year, just because of the way Laporta played last year. And I feel like Laporta has so much more to prove, whereas Travis Kelsey's career has already been made out for him. And I think the Chiefs are, again, a team that are going to pace themselves as they try to do the improbable, which is go for their third straight Lombardi trophy. With that being said, I do need a receiver here. I could load up at running back. Man, Mike Evans, I love Mike Evans, but I have this thing where it's like I've never drafted him in fantasy, and I've never drafted him, and he's gotten 1,000 yards every year for the Bucks. And as a Bucks fan, I don't want to be the person that messes that up. So you know what? I love Pacheco, and he's still sitting there. I ended up with both running backs. I'm set at running back now for the rest of the draft. I don't really have to worry. I
No, you
have three
don't.
solid backs there in a league where there just isn't that kind of depth at running back. There just isn't. So I'm very content with what I have, and I'm uh, very positive that there will be receivers there for me in the later rounds.
No, definitely it was a good call. Now, I just want to go back to the talk about the tight end for a moment, talking Laporta versus Kelsey. I think one of the reasons why Kelsey is still a pretty safe pick to take before Laporta is just knowing that with the receiver situation in Kansas City, he's going to be a pretty solid target for Mahomes throughout the entire season, especially if you're in a PPR league. The more targets, the better. It's easy money right there. So you talked about Evans as well. I have taken Evans before, and I've been trying to get him back for years. So even if this is a mock draft, I'm going all in. I am taking 1,000 yards per season with Mike Evans.
We love it. We
And I
love
just
to
watched
see.
two top quarterbacks go off the board because that's my luck.
But I am not a huge proponent of taking quarterbacks early. I tried that once this past year and it backfired.
See,
And
for me, it has worked, but that's also because I had a keeper with Justin Jefferson. I took Stephon Diggs, and then I grabbed Josh Allen to double up.
there
Now,
you
of
go.
course, Allen got hurt down the stretch, but the first few weeks, it was a great pick. So otherwise, from the injuries, there was really not much else you could do. But you know what? I am going to take a quarterback here. Why not? CJ Stroud's still available. He had a great rookie season. I think it's only going to get better from here, especially because they've added to the wide receiver core with Stephon Diggs. I'm taking Stroud.
Love the pick, CJ Stroud. Obviously, a historic rookie year for that quarterback on a team that nobody saw coming last year. The big difference this year, everybody is seeing Houston coming this year. But I do think that I've liked, again, what I've seen from Stroud in the offseason, from what I've seen. Obviously, made some nice plays in preseason. Looks like the Texans are in for another year competing for a championship. And just what a remarkable turnaround that franchise has had. All right, so let me analyze what I've drafted here. I've got 3 green. I've gotten 3 running backs. I'm set there at the running back position for a while. Quarterbacks, obviously, is something, and I don't take quarterbacks high. And it's just something that I've kind of looked at before. But I am looking at receiver. I definitely need one. And
I'm going to
you
take a
know
look at
what?
the quarterbacks remaining. You still have some good options if you wait a few rounds. Like Burrow's still left, Prescott's still left, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. You could always try to go Caleb Williams as a rookie later on if you want to give that a try. You still have some, Jared Goff, of course. You already have, well, I guess if we went to head, I'd be hoping you take Goff because then I benefit from having St. Brown.
Right.
But
So yeah, absolutely. And I think that again, quarterbacks, I've been talking about how I don't take them early. We'll see what we do here, but I definitely need a receiver. I wanted to get George Pickens last year, and he was like a later round sleeper. Somebody picked him up a couple picks before me, and I did not for and I just could not forgive myself. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I need a receiver. And
You have
honestly,
18 seconds.
Pickens is still out there. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go take George Pickens. I like his upside at receiver. I think he cements himself as that number one option there. Now you see two running backs, actually four consecutive running backs go off the board after my receiver pick. That's what I like because I've already taken running backs. So it's not like I need another one. So the fact that all those picks after mine were running backs leaves all these extra players out there on the board for me, which makes me feel even better about my early round picks. I can still go and get receivers if I so choose.
Yeah, whereas I only have one, so this should be a little bit interesting for me. But right now, I still see some options I like. I see Mostert is still available. He had a good year in Miami last year, so I mean, if he drops to my spot in the 5th round, I'll probably go grab him. But let's see what the little CPUs decide otherwise. Maybe I'll have to pivot.
Right, absolutely. And Harrison, I have been talking about this all podcast long about not going quarterback early. But you know what?
Is the 5th round really early anymore? Like, let's be real.
For me, drafting a quarterback in the 5th round is early. Because historically I've gotten quarterbacks late. Like one of the best ones I ever did was just sitting and waiting, and I got Patrick Mahomes in the 11th round, and he went on to have an MVP season. Now, obviously, those are outliers that don't obviously happen every year. And you know what, Harrison? I do kind of need a quarterback, and I'm going to take a flyer on one because I personally look at the rest of the roster and I think I'm probably not going to go out of my way to draft other players on this roster. And I like having a quarterback that's on his own team. I don't like you like talk about doubling up. I think there are certain situations like the one that you mentioned. It's good to do. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. I think that was a great play by you. But for me, doubling up is something I don't usually do. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take Anthony Richardson. I don't think
I
I'm
had
going
a
to.
feeling you would take the Gator. You had to.
But see, I usually don't take Gators. I love my Gators, but I usually don't take them in fantasy. I can't remember the last time I've had a Gator player in fantasy football. So Anthony Richardson, I like Shane Steichen, their coach. So I think they're going to put him in a good chance to succeed. Again, I talk about not taking quarterback early, and here I go taking a quarterback early. I like it because I like the mystery behind it. He might be a fantasy gold mine this year, as long as he stays healthy.
All right. I might already be rethinking things a little bit. Like I looked at Mostert, but I have part of me thinks I could get him a little later. I mean, I don't have probably shouldn't take a second Lions player already, so I'm not gonna take Montgomery. You know what? I'm just gonna play it safe. I'll take Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is a pick I like more than most. A lot of people have hopped off the Aaron Jones train. I, for one, haven't because Minnesota doesn't really know what they're going to do quarterback wise this year. McCarthy's out for the season, and Sam Darnold is not a guy that strikes me as somebody that's going to throw 30 passes a game. Aaron Jones is going to be somebody in that Vikings backfield that I feel like is going to get his fair share of carries. And because of that volume, I think he's going to have a chance to have a very good year and for great value.
Yeah, I would agree. We'll see if we're right. But going back to wide receivers, I already have Evans. I'm not gonna take Godwin. You know, I gotta hedge my bets a little bit more. Well, I'm gonna go Keenan Allen. He's in Chicago. He's gonna be one of the top targets now for Caleb Williams, along with DJ Moore. I think he's gonna be a pretty good bet here, assuming Williams is able to translate those talents to the NFL.
All right, Harrison. So you know how we were talking about tight ends earlier, and we were talking about, you gave your reasoning why you take Travis Kelce first, and I totally see it because he is Patrick Mahomes' security blanket. He is somebody that he's going to go to. We saw the behind the back pass in preseason. I mean, the chemistry can't be matched. But I'm looking around at another player on that team that I think is poised for a big year. Hollywood Brown is somebody that is coming off an injury. So I think they're going to take some time to work him in. But Xavier Worthy from Texas is such an intriguing pick to me. And this is one of the reasons why I took running back as early as I did. because I think there are a lot of rookie receivers from this class that have a chance to boom. And one of those guys that I think has that chance is Xavier Worthy. So I'm not going to wait any longer on him. I'm going to pick him up there because I think he could be the immediate wide receiver one there.
No, it's definitely a good pick. I mean, when you think of just the wide receiver situation in Kansas City as a whole, that's not really much of a hot take. I don't really think Kadarius Toney is gonna magically look like how he did back at Florida with Kyle
No,
Trask and the Dan
no,
Mullen system. So I see no reason to not give Worthy a shot. If it's not to Kelsey, if it's not uh play action option where you go to Pacheco, it's gonna be Worthy. It's a good shot.
absolutely. And staying on the theme of rookie wide receivers, another one that I am bullish on this year, Rome Odunze. I don't think the Bears are going to win a bunch of games, but I think that rookie to rookie chemistry is something that you're going to see between Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. He reminds me of somebody that's a safe draft pick. I think he is going to be a player that flies under the radar because everyone talks about Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. in this draft went first round. Rome Odunze I just snagged in the 7th round. And I am not so sure that Roma Dunze won't put up similar numbers. I really don't. I think he has a stellar ceiling as well. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. has that talent. He's been around the game for his whole life. His father was a Hall of Famer, and I mean he's one of the most skilled receivers we've seen in this generation. But Roma Dunze, I think, is somebody over the longevity of his career is going to be somebody that's just a staple, and I think he's going to start off strong as a rookie this year.
Yeah. I'm a little distracted at the moment because my lamp just died on me. But so we're gonna have to roll with a slightly blurrier version of my face. But yeah, I'll be real when I say I'm not as familiar with Odunze, so I'm gonna have to take your word for it on this one. I mean, that being said, Marvin Harrison was an absolute beast at Ohio State. So I am still kind of annoyed he did not fall to the second round. I know I went with Derrick Henry. I would have taken two wide receivers back to back had he fallen. All right. Well, at this point, I think it's very clear. I need to go to rookies and I need to go draft Keon Coleman. I'm kidding.
That's what I'm saying though. There's a lot of rookies out there. It's
I,
crazy.
I, 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 those highlights on social media, I looked at those from Coleman. I do not want to take him.
But like don't forget about like guys later on. Like there's value all over the board in this draft. Lad
Oh
McConkey,
yeah.
Xavier Legette. I mean this I haven't seen a receiver class this deep.
Well, oops. Well, I accidentally took Calvin Ridley. There's worse things in the world.
There are definitely worse things in the world. And as I said, that Lad McConkey goes off the board. So props to Team 11 seeing that. Oh my gosh, is Team 11 a Georgia homer?
Why my auto?
They stacked Brock Bowers.
All right. Well, something autoed, so that sucks.
Did you have somebody queued up?
No, I didn't.
All right.
But
So let's play hypotheticals then. Let's just say you haven't drafted somebody there. Um, who do you take there?
that's a great question. Well, this just turned into
It's
a
just like
mess.
if you like hypothetically speaking, let's say you're on the board, like it says you took Zach Moss. Who would you have taken? And you have the right to take any of those guys that went after you.
Hmm.
Eckler, Jonathan Brooks,
I
Jaden.
probably would have gone Eckler over Moss, even though he's now moved on to Washington just because of the track record. But you know what? I don't really hate this pick either. I feel like I kind of got lucky with two accidental auto draft picks, if I'm being honest.
Right.
So I might just kind of roll with it from here.
Well, somebody took my backup plan, the guy that took Brock Bowers in the 8th round. I did not expect him to go in the 8th round. I thought he'd be out there a little bit longer. And I am somebody who still needs a tight end. So, Harrison, looking at the points that you were making about tight end, about guys that are sitting around, I'm going to steal your idea. I'm going to go swipe TJ Hawkinson because he's sitting out there. And I need somebody at that position. And I had TJ Hawkinson last year, and he had a really stellar year. And I made a trade midseason. Somebody offered me Sam Laporta for a midseason, and I accepted that trade. But like Hawkinson was somebody who was in the top tier of that position, and I'm surprised he was still out there. So I was going to go for it and take him. So I now have a tight end, I have a quarterback, I have 3 wide receivers, and I have 3 running backs. So that's a balanced team so far through 8 rounds. I'm pretty happy with what it looks like. Looking at what's the best available now, because that's kind of what I'm going for. Let's look at the running back position.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once you get to like the double digit middle to late rounds, it really is just who has the highest point projections in case somebody gets hurt. Because at this point, we basically have our starters. You're just picking flex picks at this point.
Oh man, somebody already took Nick Chubb. Man, good on them. There are some good mid-round value running backs, I will say, this year, Nick Chubb being one of them, because people have forgotten about him. He's been an efficient runner his whole career. Last year, he got hurt the first time in his career that he had a serious injury, but he's back. And like, he is every year that he has played, he has put up first round fantasy numbers. So the fact that he gets to sit out there, that's somebody I would definitely look into in the middle rounds for sure. If you haven't drafted a running back, Nick Chubb is somebody out there that is, I think, a later round investment. I am running out of time here, and I still really don't know who I want. So I have to think about
21, 20, 19. I say this as if I didn't run out of time myself, so maybe I shouldn't judge.
should I stay on theme? There's a lot of. I'm going to take Brian Robinson. So the pick
I
couldn't
like
pick.
it. I like it.
I'm going to take Brian Robinson because Robinson, Eckler did go to Washington, and that's why Robinson is falling here. But on the depth chart, Robinson's is the number one. So I think that he's going to hang on to that RB1 slot, and I think Eckler's best days are behind him, whereas Brian Robinson, a young running back who's only been in the league for a handful of years, has shown promise. Now it's about him staying healthy and fulfilling that potential.
Yeah, and I think we also have to remember sometimes a lot of these teams do running backs by committee as opposed to having a go-to running back for the entire game.
Sure.
A couple of years ago, was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. I took Zeke Elliott, despite the fact that Pollard was on the Cowboys. And I still managed to rack up a lot of points because they'd use Pollard for moving down the field, and then they lined up Elliott for when they wanted to get into the red zone and score. So you kind of make up the difference there. So let's see. You know what? I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall.
Lovely.
Perhaps it's a Gator bias, but I also think Ayuk's out the door. He's going to get more looks. It's a great passing game with San Francisco. I'm going with Pearsall.
Has that been confirmed? Because I know that all the rumors that have been circling with Brandon Ayuk and his contract deal, but to those points, that's why I like your pick of Ricky Pearsall there, because he might see a larger role than we might have anticipated earlier on.
Exactly. Plus just the athleticism that we saw as time in Florida. Like some of those catches were Sports Center top 10 moments. And I think those are those are NFL caliber plays. Like he will still make those when he moves up to the professional level. Well, I say will as if he hasn't already. All right, let's see. You know what? Just for the heck of it, I'm going to go tight end now. Well, my actual tight end's already taken, but since in real life it doesn't matter, I'm just gonna take you. You look good. I actually don't even know who he is, but again, it doesn't even matter.
It is a tough to choose from tight ends at this point in the round.
If you don't get like the top 4 of them, you don't have anything. You're hoping you might as well platoon week to week and see if someone just happens to have a big week by accident, like the Austin Hooper gang. Let's ride, if you remember him.
Of course. All right, so it's been a minute. I know I just took a running back last round, but I'm going to continue to add to that depth. I like the receiver depth that I have so far, and there's still other receivers that I'm eyeing a little bit later.
That's great.
Another running back that I like, and I got him later as like a waiver wire ad at the end of last year. I think his role will expand this year. Zach Charbonnet from Seattle. I think he is slowly but surely stealing more reps from Kenneth Walker in there in Seattle. I think he could be a possible sleeper pick at the running back position. Obviously, we never wish or want to wish injury on anybody, but we also are aware that those are part of the game. And that could be a potential spot there where somebody does, and then he's got a larger role in that regard as well. But I like Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA a couple of years back, and he showed some promise in his rookie season, and I think he's going to get a larger role this year.
Definitely. And we are starting to run low on time. So with each pick now, we're going to move a little bit quicker, especially because it is the later rounds. We got 15 and we're in the 11th. So, all right, Josh, who you got?
I got a Xavier Legette, Carolina rookie. I think he's another potential rookie boom receiver. I'm gonna keep investing on that and dying on that hill.
Gotcha. I think I'm going to switch up a little bit. I'm going to go defense now, even if it's in the 11th round, especially because they're all available. So, San Francisco, while I have the opportunity, here we are.
I respect it. I respect it. The first defense off the board. So you get the option to go with any of them if you have a strong conviction that
Ooh,
the Niners are going to be the best defense. Go for it.
kickers just went quick too. So I'm going to grab Harrison Butker while I can. I had him last year. I'm taking him again. It worked out pretty well.
Oh man, and the guy that took the kicker I was looking for went right after you, Brandon Aubrey. Did you see that 66-yarder?
I
I mean,
did. He's got a
oh,
fascinating story too. He's like an MLS player, and now he's a starting. He's the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. So
and
you,
also
you like stories like those.
agreed. And also though, like his kicking percentage last year was crazy. So we know he's got the leg and we know he's got the accuracy. Seems
Well, I
like
mean, if he played soccer, there's a good chance he did have the leg. Like, think of the former soccer players who have played in the NFL, like Martin Gramatica for the Buccaneers. Well, I don't know if actually did he play soccer or I
uh,
mean, he probably did at one point back in Argentina. So,
all right, let's see. I went Dobbins. I'm gonna go since I took Bijan Robinson in the first round. Might as well get his insurance in case something did happen to him. I'm gonna go with Tyler Algier. He had 1,000 yards as a rookie. Good to have him just in case something does happen to my top pick. I got the next best guy up in that rotation.
that's a good call. I'm probably gonna run with. I only have one quarterback. I should probably go grab one now. JJ McCarthy, obvious pick. I know his leg is broken. That doesn't mean he can't go out there and still play some ball. Nah, I'm kidding. You know what? Hmm.
Are you
Wow.
gonna double up? Are you gonna double up, Harrison? You can bake? Are you gonna bake to Mike
I
Evans?
feel like I kind of have to bake at this point. You're looking at some of these other options that are left after that run on QBs last couple of rounds. It's Baker Mayfield. Worst case scenario, oh no, I double up Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Terrible.
It's a great call. It's a great call.
Plus at 30 million a year, you hope he balls out.
Of course.
All right, let's see. I got 3 wide receivers. I got flex. Hmm.
Who do I want next? Who do I want
We
next?
really are at the bottom of the barrel at this point. When your best wide receiver option is still Brandon Cooks in the 14th round. How about that? Running back. You know what? I'm just gonna say maybe Antonio Gibson could be a half decent backup option. So cool. I'm sure he has something left in the tank still.
You know what? I'm going to use this pick and draft an insurance tight end just to have another one. Isaiah Likely from the Ravens. I'd like to believe the Ravens are going to do more. Obviously, Todd Monken, their OC, he's got roots back at UGA and he used Brock Bowers a lot. I like to think Isaiah Likely is going to have a larger role this year. So I'm going to go with another tight end.
Oh, a lot of defenses are going in the final round. All right, who's your last pick?
My last pick, since I haven't taken a defense or a kicker, I'm going to go with a kicker because I need one. And I know those guys are off the board. I know Cade York just got moved. Did somebody take Fairbairn? Looks like somebody
Looks
took
like
Fairbairn
somebody did.
right before I took Likely. So yeah, I couldn't have taken them in there anyway. I did like that pick. Man, I know they just traded. I do need a kicker though. Honestly, you know what? If Zorline's still in the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Brees Hall, that offense will get them in field goal range enough. Might as well just go with Greg the Leg, former fantasy legend Greg the Leg.
All right, let's see. Turn off rookie. You know what? Jahad Johnson. Why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
and my stance on defense is for those out there that don't know, yes, I did not draft the defense, but my stance on that is like you can be as sure as you want on a defense, and it's like you never know. Like you never know what that team's gonna do overall. It's a lot based on like pick sixes, scoring, allowing a limited amount of points, getting to the quarterback. We know teams have individual defensive players that are great, but a unit as a whole can be very, very unpredictable. And it's something that I usually try to play matchups with unless I can get like a surefire defense early on. And I still don't even think that's necessarily worth it.
Yeah,
So for me,
and
I usually go, I'd play it based on matchups. Like the Saints are a team this year. I do not expect them to do a whole lot. So it's like, all right, who's playing the Saints this year? They're probably going to be a safe option. But I also will say having a great defense can make a difference in your fantasy league and make you a championship contender in your league. So
I
that's
agree.
something, if you get that right, it's a huge edge.
No, definitely. And I'm just looking at my team now. I'm not sure if I'm as big on it as I was with my team last year, but I still feel like if this is what I had, I do have something to work with for the season. All right, well, we're about out of time, but Josh, what are your final thoughts on your team? Is this something that if you came out of in your actual draft, would you be content with it?
I would be because I was more so surprised at the running backs I was able to get in the second and third round. I did not see myself getting those just because of all the receivers that went ahead of my pick. I was somebody that thought I had to go receiver in the second round because guys like Achan and Pacheco would have been gone by my second pick. That not only were they both there at my second pick, they both like well, one of them was at least there till my third. So it was like I was able to get both running backs and still get some later round receivers that could potentially make huge impacts this year, either as a rookie or in year two players like Pickens, Worthy, Adunze, and so on.
Definitely. So the only thing I want to call out on this is that I just don't see a scenario in a real life draft where all the defenses are going in the final round and only one went before the 11th. That might be my one critique of this is just I just don't see like the human element almost like there's no run on any position at any point. Like one person makes a bold move, so everyone goes and grabs those position, the
Yeah,
top ones from
for
that
sure.
position while they're available. But I'm not complaining. I feel like in real life, the 49ers defense won't be there at 11.
It may not be. I mean, I've had leagues where I've had somebody took I think one year the Steelers had a really good defense, and someone took them in like the ninth round, and we were like, "Wait, what?" And it was just like,
Yeah, I can see
well,
that happening too.
I
I
can,
think
I
when I
can.
do the real one, you will have a guy who takes a defense early just to ensure he has it, especially if he's someone who already has his main starters that he likes.
Exactly. Somebody's going to start a trend in any fantasy draft, and it really depends on if the rest of your league's going to follow that suit or that person's going to be the one that tried to start a trend and left out on an island all by themselves.
Yeah, we'll find out, won't we? But that'll do it for this mock draft edition of the Awkward Sports Podcast. I'm Harrison. That's Josh. If Josh was talking, he'd say, I'm Josh. That's Harrison. I know how things roll by now. This was fun. Football is back. I'm excited, and we will see you next time.